Check out this banger ad from Zohran Mandani. You know he's closing in? More polls are coming out. Every week, more polls are coming out, and he's edging closer and closer, to which the obvious question is, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Hey, buddy. Where are you?
I'm Assemblyman Zohran Mandani, and I'm running for mayor to freeze the rent for every rent-stabilized tenant.
Wait, you're gonna freeze my rent?
Yes.
Did I hear rent freeze?
Yes! This guy's gonna freeze the rent.
No hike?
None.
This guy's gonna freeze the rent.
It's true. As your next mayor, I will freeze your rent.
Paid for by Zohran for NYC.
It's good. You see, a bunch of people are freaking out over the idea of him proposing something that's popular. No, the energy is good. I love it. He's so talented, man. And he's so young, too. He could be he could be a real force for the rest of his life. I like the font, lol. Yeah, well, the font, at least to my mind, is like deliberately nostalgic, which is usually not something lefties like to play on. This to me, I look at this font and I think like blaxploitation film. I think 70s, I think big afros, I think bell bottoms, I think like a whole glut of like cultural references from back then. When, you know, I mean, New York City in the 1970s had issues, but I think that a lot of people living there, especially in the rent-controlled housing, I mean, maybe, you know, maybe there's like a point there, you know? Listen, back then the colors were more saturated, okay? Can we agree on that? Because people were shooting with film and not with digital cameras? You get me. Back when life was fun. A bunch of people are super, super mad at this because a lot of people who don't understand economics are really mad at any mention of rent control or rent freeze. Rent control often is implemented poorly. There are versions of rent control that can be done well. New York City would be an example of rent control potentially being done very well. As I said the last time I covered Zohran Mandani, you need rent control in New York City because otherwise the city will turn into Dubai. The demand to live in New York City is infinite. There will always be people who want to live in New York City. Literally, there will never be an end to it. And as a consequence of that, if you let market forces dictate the pricing of places like, say, Manhattan, right, you will end up forcing out all of the people who like live there and are part of the community, and everyone there will just be like wealthy finance and tech bros, which means the culture of the city will die. And once the culture of the city dies, it becomes, well, Dubai. It becomes a featureless, cultureless city, a playground for the wealthy with no, like, no one actually lives there. People have second apartments and second houses and second condos there so they can go and, you know, go to the restaurants or whatever. Yeah, Dubai is not a real city in the sense that it produces culture and has like a vibrant local tapestry. It's a slave city that wealthy people use to play around in. Isn't New York already expensive? Yeah, it is. However, many apartments in New York City are rent stabilized, older ones, not newer ones. So theoretically, rent stabilization on the older ones should not affect new developments. Also, didn't Bill de Blasio do this like 3 times? Anyway, a lot of liberals in the replies are being very pissy about this. Don't expect landlords to fix or repair rental units if you freeze rent. Owners are not going to eat the increased expenses. Great, arrest them. That's their job. If they can't do that, they should sell their property. That's okay. Increased expenses. Yeah, I guess they're like inflation or something. I don't know what they're referring to. Landlords when they have to work. No! Yeah. No, his poll numbers are surging right now. Like seriously. He is doing remarkably well. There is an increase. Now, keep in mind, they are still going to do everything they can to rat him. And by they, I mean the Democrats and the Republicans. Cuomo is being backed by Republicans, the Democratic establishment, even people who denounced Cuomo when he left the governorship in disgrace after all the sexual harassment have come back around and endorsed him. The most evil people in the country are all backing Cuomo, but because he is so incompetent, there is a possibility that he loses anyway. Yes, I did see this one, his financial mismanagement. Cuomo was denied $622,000 in public mayoral campaign funds over suspicions of illegal coordination with a super PAC. A super PAC gave him a huge amount of money, but did so in the wrong way. They did the wrong, like, legal magical spell that makes it so that you can use the money, I believe. I'm not really keen to the details, but I think that's the essence of it. I'm just going to read the text. Andrew Cuomo has docked another $675,000 in matching funds for alleged coordination with a super PAC, quote, at Fix the City NYC. It's also going to apply to a spending cap, so he won't be able to spend as much as other candidates in the race. Based. And from Mamdani, the so-called competence candidate, Andrew Cuomo breaks the law, mishandles money, and bends the knee to billionaires so much you'd think he'd running to be Trump, not mayor of New York City. Oh, I love Mamdani. I need him to win. I need him to win so fucking badly. Interestingly, well, actually, not really interestingly, this is something that you'd probably already be aware of if you understand Democratic primary politics, but interestingly to a lot of people, you know who our only hope is for Mamdani winning? The white man. That's right, the white man. Inventors of, I assume, I haven't looked this up, microwaves, and the broccoli cut, where it's like not a fro, but it's like, I assume we did that? I don't really know. I'll take credit for it, even though I can't do it myself. And sliced bread? That's probably true. Did we invent sliced bread? I'll take credit for that. That's fine. I'm trying to find... Okay, hold on. Recent 10th round polling data, and while you're looking at that and digesting those numbers, where the hell is the thing that I set aside? Oh, thank God, a relevant news clip to distract you. With distraction.
Cuomo at 46%, so he's almost at 50, but not quite yet, which would
White
give him
people,
the win.
I found it.
Mamdani is at 32%. Lander is at 22%. So what do you do next? Because no one has 50. You eliminate Lander, and his
Goodbye,
votes
Lander.
flow upward. Most of them go to Mamdani, but enough go to former Governor Cuomo to put him at 54%, and that would make him the Democratic nominee.
8-point difference. 8-point difference. Do you have any idea how quickly Mamdani has surged? Again, everyone already knew who Cuomo was. Mamdani is skyrocketing up. AOC could make the difference. I don't know why she's not endorsing. She must be planning something. If she's not, I'm breaking up with her.
But I can tell you this 8-point gap, 54 minus 46, is as close as any public poll has been in this race for mayor. And that's what makes this one very, very interesting as we head toward about a month until Election Day. Under this scenario...
Yeah, we're so close. And anyway, white people are our only hope. In the final round, only white people are a majority voter for Zohran. Latinos are 65% Cuomo, black voters are 74% Cuomo, and Asians are exactly 50-50, according to this poll. Obviously, you know, polls aren't perfect, but, you know. I wonder if she's holding off her endorsement. Yeah, I imagine that she would be holding it off into the final month, but we are in the final month. Like, you don't want to do it the final week. Funnily enough, the fact that white people have the highest proportion of voting for Zohran indicates that one of his greatest, like, bulwarks of support are probably New York City Jews, which is funny considering, like, the insanely bad faith bipartisan attacks that have come out against Zohran. You know? Latinos, why are you Hitler? Whoa, whoa, whoa! I think that one racial category actually comes out the most Hitlerite in this, don't they? Huh? Yeah, no, see... Republicans would win a lot more elections if they weren't so racist, though unfortunately for them, racism is a inseparable component of their ideology. No getting around that, I'm afraid. The problem is that if you are a white reactionary, you vote Republican, right? So you have a pre-selection. If you're a white person voting Democrat, you're probably not a reactionary. Whereas for Black, Latino, and Asian people, there's not as much curation going on before the primary vote. So you can be a reactionary black person, and you can still, you know, be voting for a Democrat. You don't have that, like, curation from the get-go. Though, given the fact that Trump has narrowed the margins considerably with, like, Latino people especially, and, you know, like, black men, maybe that'll shift over time. Who knows? Yeah, really, though. The race has gotten exceptionally close very, 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 very quickly. With the momentum going as it is right now, what are you going to do when AOC endorses Cuomo? I mean, we'll enter, like, a level... Listen, I'll still be here, but we're going to enter, like, a level of Joker politics, the likes of which... I mean, you're not going to be ready for it. I've been preparing for it for a long time. I've been getting ready. But it's going to be rough. It's going to be really, really rough for all of us, I think. She's not going to endorse Cuomo. But if she stays silent on Zohran, genuinely, that is like a no-go for me. That's a red flag. That's that's like, you're not coming back from that. Yeah, I'd pretty much drop her in my mind. Whatever kind of cynical behind the scenes, like, oh, if you don't do this later, you can do that politics she's engaging in, which I'm willing to permit to an extent, because I know that politics is difficult, coalition building is difficult, I understand that. But if she engaged in it to that extent, that for me would be, that would be a line. That'd be a red line. And she needs to act like now. Oh my God, dude, come on. No, I think that's a totally reasonable red line, 100%. This is literally like a loser, billionaire cozied, right-wing adjacent, sex pest, failed gubernatorial leader is running for the mayorship. He's being backed by establishment Dems and Republicans. He is literally the deep state. He's literally the deep state. He is the perfect encapsulation of Wall Street consolidating to support a do-nothing candidate whose only priority is continuing the status quo and directing more and more wealth to the billionaires. He is the rot, okay? So for all of them, the entire party, both parties, to stand behind him, the Democrats are silent on Mamdani. This is AOC's chance to distinguish herself, to show that she, like, all of this coalition building she's been doing with the mainstream Democrats, it hasn't compromised her. It hasn't robbed her of the ability to break way with them when necessary. But 2028, her endorsement of Mamdani would not compromise her in 2028, unless she intends on running as the kind of candidate who will not upset the mainstream Democrats, in which case I don't care if she runs in 2028. My interest in her running in 2028 is contingent upon the assumption that she will be new and she will be better. And if she cannot be new and she cannot be better, and she feels as though an endorsement of Mamdani would compromise her in that race, then I don't care if she wins. Sure, okay, so we got somebody with her name, not somebody with the ideals that I've ascribed to her. I'm black and I can confirm how much the community is very socially conservative. Now, I don't mean to threaten you specifically, and I'm not saying that I would become very racist if Mamdani loses to Cuomo marginally in large part because of POC voters. However, I would be upset. And it would time pretty well with my white boy summer theme that I'll be running in with the, in the coming months. Well, I'm not saying we're going to endorse like an overt turn of racial antagonism or anything. I'm just saying you understand. Maybe you don't. I'm going to lose my goddamn mind, man. I 100% agree this is the time and place to attempt real socialists in power. The fact that all the Democrats, let alone AOC, but the Democrats broadly, are staying silent about Mamdani is an indication of the rot, right? Of how little they care about you. They want you dead. The average Democrat in office cares more about keeping the friends they have with lobbying and consulting groups and with Wall Street than they do about your well-being. The rot is like insanely, it permeates so fucking deep. This is such a clear-cut endorsement. Cuomo has nothing going for him. His policy plan, written by AI. Is he doing campaign appearances? Not really, no. Does he have a vision for the future of the country? Or the future of the city? Yeah, sure, law and order, more police. Wow, great. Do New Yorkers want that? No. Nah, they weren't really asking for that. The average New Yorker seems to, held the NYPD in contempt, but, it's not stopping him. Who's backing him? Republicans. The fact that Democrats aren't saying shit about this race is insane. But you know what? They didn't say anything about Eric Adams either. Even though Eric Adams literally accepted a blackmail agreement from the DOJ and is now running as an independent. Like, even though he's running as a fucking independent now, they're still not willing to criticize him.
But first, Pix 11 is your local election headquarters, and new exclusive polling tonight showing a big shift in the race for New York City mayor. As we say thank you for joining us here at 5, I'm Erin LeBeau.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Candace Gibson. So former Governor Andrew Cuomo may not be running away with the Democratic primary anymore. Let's get right over to Pix 11's Henry Rossif right now. Henry, this race appears to be tightening.
Yeah, let's put this in context first. Most of the public polling that we have seen so far shows this at about a 20-point lead for former Governor Cuomo. Well, in brand new exclusive polling with Emerson College and The Hill, we here at Pix 11 can show you this. You have former Governor Cuomo at 35%, but look at that. Queens Assemblyman Zohran Mandani at 23%. So that's a 12-point gap there. And it gets more interesting as we move through ranked choice voting scenarios. But let's move through the entire poll first and show you this 12-point gap. It's much different than a lot of other polls are showing. You have Comptroller Brad Landlord.
Can we just look at this? Is the third guy any good? Brad Lander? Brad Lander is significantly better than Andrew Cuomo without being like an overt socialist. But if this indicates to you how bad the Democrats are, they still stood with Cuomo. That's how bad they are. Like, Brad Lander would have been like the safe, good pick. He would have been the pick to go with if you wanted... Like, Cuomo is shockingly bad, but all of them fell in line. The Democratic establishment all fell in line to back him when they could have gone with Brad Lander. They hate you. If it's ranked choice voting, does this mean Brad does not spoil Zohran? That is correct. Yeah. Because of ranked choice voting, it's not a bad thing that Brad Lander and Zohran are sharing a ticket.
Lander at 11%. And then we page over to show you some of the other candidates in play here. You have former Comptroller Scott Stringer at 9%. You have City Council Speaker Adrienne Adams at 8%. State Senator Zellner Myrie at 5%. Now things get interesting because remember, we have a ranked choice voting election. So what you do is you cancel all of these.
Right, and then they go to the final round here at the end, where it's now an 8-point difference. Well, God willing. I'm just preparing you guys for the White Boy Summer Joker arc, okay? Is it that minority Dem primary voters are conservative or are they intensely risk-averse? It's that they're conservative. Again, like, conservative white people have an off-ramp. They can vote Republican. Conservative Black and Latino people do to an extent, but for the most part, they're biased towards the Democratic Party because the Democratic Party isn't as overtly insanely racist as the Republicans. Unfortunately, like, within the context of Democratic primaries, Black people are overwhelmingly like the reactionary voting bloc, which is why people like Eric Adams and Cuomo disproportionately appeal to them. You can see that in their campaign appearances and the people that they endorse. You also saw this back with Bernie in 2016, where Bernie did relatively well with Latino voters in the Democratic primary, you know, but with Black voters, not so much. And a lot of that is because Hillary Clinton successfully obtained the endorsements of a lot of major Black community leaders. Pretty wacky, pretty wacky. We'll see how it goes. Either way, it's going to be a white boy summer, whether we like it or not. Like Biden, or did Vosh just say that? Like Biden as well, to a large extent.